return of the resources back to the people from a government that sucked all of the people's resources out.
We don't stick together.
This is the crystal globe. We looking at have and have nots in the New World Order. We chose not to be the have nots, so we took it all by blood and by right. We was born with the right to restore the balance back to the people and the lands.
And
all we got to do is put Big Mama back on her seat and go on about our business. Everything will fall in place according to the laws of nature. These contracts, that's all. That's what they using to enforce their jurisdictional authority to govern what you do on your land. They make you sign an adhesion contract. Most people don't know when they do their mortgage contract that they sign in the agreement to follow what's the homeowners association of the area. They ain't gonna tell you if you don't read it for yourself, right? They're not gonna tell you what you have, why you gotta pay taxes. They gonna tell you it's to supply the services of the local government. That's supposed to be paid from out of DC and the capital of the state. Not supposed to be paid for by the resident. But remember, the landlords is the ones who's issuing these patents for squatter rights, disregarding the tribal lands where our ancestors is actually buried at. This is making them sacred lands, and they don't qualify under none of the treaties. The sacred lands do not qualify for none of the treaties. And we got ancestors buried from coast to coast. So they asserting their jurisdictional authority based on treaties and based on contracts they making with individuals. It has nothing to do with them having the proper jurisdiction. It has something to do with them having us go along to get along without telling us that we going along to get along.
Mm-hmm.
It's all deception at its finest. We can argue the particulars of law
to 100%,
right? But we still need to know what they use in the law to do to the people who's rightful heirs to the land. And they using what they call in the law to usurp the land law, the common law, the law of the people on the land of the tribes. All tribes west of the Appalachians are called in law dependent tribal nations. They call outlaw tribes, and they call belligerent tribes. Why do they call us this? Because we never signed none of their contracts because we never agreed. They only have a contract with 5 civilized tribes for a small portion of the Virginia territory, is what it was called at the time. They don't got no contracts to cross the Appalachians. They made that shit up as they go. And then as they make it up, we end up believing they are legitimate government, so we support their takeover and shenanigans to get us to surrender the land.
Mm-hmm.
No tribal chief from this land believes in selling land, because to us it's like selling your mama and your children, and we don't believe in that. Yeah. The people that came over here sold their mama to leave and sold their children when they got here. Yeah. And that was called the Ottawa Territory, and it was a conglomeration of tribes from all through what they call it the Northwest Territory. But we called it Ottawa Territory, and it was a group of tribes that was belligerent to the settlers crossing the Appalachians, interfering with the inland, what became later known as the Louisiana Purchase. Yeah. The Protectorate Agreement of the French that they sold to the English was to make sure nobody crossed the Appalachians and went into, this is why you bring up King George, because they was not supposed to cross the Appalachians and go into what they called back then Indian territory or Bigfoot country, where them niggas with them big ass feet be stomping you across your neck.
Oh, come on now. My feet ain't
so when they telling us the stories, they telling us we mythical creatures, we werewolves. No, we not werewolves. We just werewolf pelts when we fucking you up. Right? We wear the pelts of the jackal, or what we call over here the coyote. Right? So they came over as bloodsuckers. They vampires. We was already here, and they say we look like kin, so they call us lichens. And they tell us it's a story called Twilight. It's just a love story, but between a little pink girl and a little pink boy. But the native tribe turning into werewolves in the movie, and the pink motherfucker come from Europe to marry the little chick because she got the blood from both tribes, the European tribe and the American tribes. So he gonna try to marry her so they can have this special baby. This is a story is redundant. Yeah. It's the same shit over and over. Your whole Jesus Christ story reworked. Born of the blood of the Jews, but they murdered his ass at the hands of the Romans. It's the same fucking story. Yeah. They just dress it up in a different suit. It's the same goddamn lie. It's just a well-dressed lie now. It was dressed up to look like a superhero. Yep. Remember, the pale face came for a drop of blood.
They always hurt me to my feelings.
Right. J.A. Rogers in Sex and Race and Nature Knows No Color line say, and Superman and Man say that there was no self-respect in one of us that would touch one of them, and there was none of them that would touch one of us. How do you get one of us to get with one of them? You got to tell us we can't do it. You got to make us rebel against the order of the day. They had no beauty standard, but they can only develop one once they get their drop of blood because their genetics doesn't allow for it. This is why they wore the corset dresses with the fox fanny. Yeah, Nature Knows No Color line. He's telling you that when they came over here, we wouldn't mix with them. We wouldn't touch them motherfuckers. Right? So when you force a people until you get to the mulatto stage and the octoroon stage, you can turn them loose on either side of the fence and they'll mix for you to get the drop of blood throughout the spectrum. This is what he was reading when he was showing you that we ain't like them motherfuckers and they ain't like us. But they have to get their drop of blood some kind of way. And they unleash the reign of terror to get it. And they was brought over here to keep us from ever getting into the institutions to get to the information. Right? So this is what he's telling you in the story that he was reading is my man is describing how we perceive them, how they perceived us, and trying to figure out how to make us to perceive each other differently from two different sides of the world. Right? The snowman meet the sun man. Goddamn. Iceman inheritance. They got to go through a catharsis to get that evil shit out their blood that was put into them in the laboratory. The catharsis look like racism. It looks like sexism. It looks like oppression until they get fed up with the shit their parents did. That one drop of blood take hold in their psyche. They ain't gonna like that shit. So now you're gonna see pale faces. What Overdrew Ali say? I'm gonna make the pale face tell you the truth. How are he gonna do that? He gonna talk to that one drop of blood. And that one drop of blood, I don't care what vessel it's in, it's gonna respond to the chief. This is what the whole crucible of God, great melting pot story that they're telling us the whole time. They telling us what they doing. And we not paying it no attention because it sounds like a slick slogan from the government. It's not. This is why eugenics was created, to make it look like they wanted to genocide us, to force us to accept some people we wouldn't accept. It's reverse psychology used at its maximum potential in a sociological instead of an individual capacity. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit no more. Now I'm trying to get, I want my big mama back. Fuck the bullshit. Because when Big Mama come home and all of her daughters get their shit back, we good. We could figure out everything else at that point.
So when is that supposed to happen?
Now in real time. Yeah. It's going down real time right now. The process is processing.
Understand, Big Mama. This part of me, I'm trying to.
You might not be one of us.
Or so it takes to be one of us.
He's a Hebrew
Israelite.
Big Mama.
He might not be.
Why wouldn't you understand Big Mama, but you understand Big Papa?
He's a Hebrew Israelite. I mean,
listen,
there you go. That's the doctrine.
The return of Big Mama.
The restoring the matriarchal structure that the tribes operated on before the rogue patriarchs brought their Bible bullshit over here.
Paleolithic time.
It's just as simple as that. We say Big Mama because every clan called their tribal mother Big Mama. Or something like that. Mudia, Nana. Right? It just depends on who she was, but the tribal mother, we called them Big Mama.
God.
He directly described the nature of lions. But what's the nature of the gorilla?
Same thing. A female gorilla.
It's not the same thing. When a male gorilla take over, he don't kill none of the babies.
Well, I know
father them all. The reason why I pointed out the difference in the nature of the lion and the gorilla is the evolution of the masculine in the species.